Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Please
Awesome.
introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, I'm George Brandt, and stream Roman Holiday, my new EP, on all social media platforms. I'm going to do a shameless self plug right there.
Right off the bat, I love it. This is what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we got to do. And this is who I am, and this is what you got to do. That's it. That's it. That's all we want. That's all we want is fame. Love it.
Yes.
I just throw back immediately. Gaga,
That's
fame.
what I was going to say. Gaga said it best herself.
She said it best. Queen, goddess, Godga. I also love Godney, Brittany.
Oh my God, yes.
It's amazing. All right, so George, please tell us exactly where we can find you on social media before we get into anything else.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. It's George_Brandt.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do, if you still use Facebook, I have a Facebook page as well, under George Brandt.
Under George Brandt.
Yes.
I have a Facebook page as well. It is not by no means active, but I still get people like random likes, like randomly, and I'm like, I have not posted since maybe May of this year. It's like it's not active, and I really want to correct that, but I don't know how.
Yeah, I have mine set up so that anytime I post on Instagram, it also goes to Facebook. So it's kind of like a
Double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, not a double-edged sword, but no, I know what you said. I know what you said.
Two things. I kill two birds with one stone is kind of what I do.
I used to have a Twitter and an Instagram, like that from whatever I post on Instagram would go to Twitter, but I stopped that because it was like just linking it. And I was like, but I want the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that happens. That's why I don't have it connected to Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like the app was called If This Then That, and it was supposed to post from Instagram to Twitter.
Yeah.
Like literally to Twitter, the picture. And it wasn't working like that. So I had to cut that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can find you on all those social media platforms, and we will say that at the end as well, and it'll be in the description box when it's on YouTube. Hello. And it will also be on the description box for wherever you stream your podcasts, like Mine Made Wrong. Hello, I am still Maggie. I did not get to say that because you were fabulous. You just went
right into it. So.
I love it. It's no one needs to know who I am. Okay. All right. So let's just get into it. We want to hear your origin story. How did George Brandt become George Brandt?
Yeah. So I grew up in a small town in northern Indiana. And I actually didn't think about pursuing a career in music until my senior year of high school. I mean, I had always written songs and, did my own little garage band recordings of them, but I actually was going to pursue film. And I came out to California, to LA, my junior year to go to some film schools. And once I was at those film schools, I realized that that was not something that I wanted to pursue necessarily. And I realized actually the thing that I like about films is the music that's put into films. And so I still love to make films, but it was definitely more about the music for me. And so I was like, why am I not just going for music? And that's really what brought me to the conclusion of wanting a career being a songwriter and a composer and honestly a pop star.
Don't we all? See, there's the bird.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone who watches these and everyone who watches these interviews knows that there's gonna be a bird. That if you are live like with me in my house, there's gonna be a bird at some point.
I love it.
But the bird. All right. So what made you come out here? Like to be out here? Just you're in California now.
Oh, honestly, I had such a like yearning for something different, and I knew that I had a bigger calling than where I was at. And it kind of led me here, and everything worked out to bring me out here, and that's pretty much what I've done ever since, is just listen to the little voice in here
Oh my
telling,
God.
urging me to go forward in this or that direction. That's pretty much what I listen to.
Okay, let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
that little voice when it comes
Okay.
to your songwriting
Mm-hmm.
and your recent projects. What happened? How did you realize that you could write well? Because that's one of the things I've been talking to songwriters about, is that what made you understand and kind of know in your heart? Was it that little voice that you can actually make a career out of this?
Um, I actually don't have that confidence as a songwriter.
You
I
don't?
don't really have the confidence that I am good at it. I think I mean, I guess I am, because people listen to my stuff and people tell me that I am, but that's something that I really struggle with, is having confidence in my art and in myself, because I don't feel I don't feel like I am the type of songwriter, like you see Lana Del Rey and you think she's a songwriter, or like um, John Lennon or Leonard Cohen, like all of those people. I wouldn't, like, I don't know, I don't feel that way about myself. Like, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I know that I can write, and I can, you know, I'm really good at writing hooks and melodies and stuff like that. But yeah, I often doubt my songwriting a lot, and I'm working on that. I'm working on my confidence in myself.
I got you there.
Yeah.
That's. I'm sorry I threw you off guard with that question.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, it's like, yeah, no, it's totally fine.
This is a podcast not just about mental health, but also about creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and how that plays into our mental health, and how they have their relationship. They have a very direct, correlation. So part of that is I want to know how the artists I interview, how they see themselves, and how they see themselves as the gods and goddesses of their own creativity.
Mm-hmm.
What Who's your muse? What is your muse?
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't have to be any artist, really. It's just I'm actually taking this interview a different direction at
Yeah.
first. I'm moving differently. I'm moving differently today, folks. Let's.
My muse, I often, I find my best writing comes from the past, um, and history, um, especially my own history. Um, I'm such a nostalgic person. Like, I love that aesthetic of, you know, nostalgia.
Mhm.
Um, and so I often am inspired by the whole, because there is really like an aesthetic of high school and like teenage years, and um, I'm really drawn to that when I write, because I think about how I felt at that age, and the music that I listened to at that age, and I try to capture all of those feelings again, because I often struggle with the fact that I am getting older. I would not say that I am old. I am
Absolutely
22
not.
years old, but I mean, I am like, I'm not 17, and that's like the age that sometimes I feel like I am frozen in time at.
Mhm.
Um, and that's like a lot of the experiences that I draw upon. So I would say that is my muse, is the past, and yeah, really just trying to get back the time sometimes, which is where a lot of my newer projects that I'm working on are really coming from, is that point in time. Even if it wasn't my life, like just looking at an old picture and trying to make a story out of like an old picture that you see from like the 70s or like
Wow.
60s.
Oh
Like,
my
that's what
gosh.
I try and
What a story starter. That's a fire starter.
but
That's a
I
trick. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that.
You
Like, write a song
should.
about like a picture,
Well,
like, or what's happening in that picture.
when I was little, little, like elementary school,
Little.
I would write stories just from nothing, like just looking at pictures, and I'm a very visual person. And so that's where a lot of my songwriting came from, was writing stories and writing just like little like paragraphs of stuff. But yeah, that's where my songwriting really comes from.
You know, I think that's where you kind of thought that maybe you wanted to go to film school,
Yeah.
because it sounds, and when, okay, so you have to listen to his music, because it's so cinematic and it's so dramatic. It's just like me. It's just like my shit. If you like my shit, which you do, then you're gonna like then you will like George Brandt's beautiful music. But I think that's, you know, you write so cinematically, and you were writing those stories, and you tell a story with your music. That's exactly how I write. I love that's how you write, because it's like that's exactly how I write. There's an entire like narrative behind everything, whether it's like something that I've dreamt up or something that has come from the past, or something, or a marriage of the two. So what would you say is, from your from Roman Holiday, your most personal song?
Oh man, Roman Holiday, the
Well,
title
okay,
track.
the title track,
The title
perfect.
track. Because when I was writing all of the songs and putting them together in this project that I wanted to do, I didn't even have Roman Holiday at the time. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be called. I didn't know what it was going to be about. And one day I sat down and I was feeling very raw,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote this song. You know, I wrote Roman Holiday, and that it just like clicked that this is going to be like the title of the EP, and this is going to be what it's going to be centered around, because um like it really just encapsulates everything that I was going through
Yeah.
with all of these other songs that I wrote. Like all of them can be defined by this one like word, Roman Holiday. Like it's the definition is getting pleasure out of somebody else's pain. And it's like I really resonate with that. I know, I really resonate with that. And then also it's like kind of a cool thing, because people who are listening are kind of getting pleasure out of the pain that I've experienced. So it's like I was doing a double thing right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
you did it. You did it on.
that's what I was trying to do. But yeah, so that's my most personal one, because it's not just about one specific thing. It's kind of about all of my feelings, about different situations, about growing up, about heartbreak, about family problems, about, you know, internal feelings. Like it's all of that into one song. And so I would say that that's my most personal to date.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about, if you will, some of those themes.
Okay.
So, what's the most central theme in that comes from either the family trouble or the mental health, or in that pushed you to write, put all of those feelings into that one song? Can we talk about that?
Yeah. It was really the driving force of that was leaving home and journeying onto uncharted territory that is LA, and being by yourself, moving across the country without anything and without anybody, is just such a like hard thing to do that I didn't realize until I came out here, and I got hit in the face with life pretty much. And so the driving force is being on your own, losing everything, and having to rebuild yourself from having nothing to where I'm at now, which is, I mean, I don't have everything, but like
Right.
I am, the progress from where I was to where I am now is just, I look back and it's amazing to me that I even survived what I was going through, because having nobody and having nothing really took a toll on my mental health. Like I thought I was messed up when I lived back home, and I thought my mind was made wrong back
A little
home.
17-year-old, you know.
And then I moved out here right after graduating high school, and it just, all of those were like amplified. And so, that was pretty much the driving force, was was leaving.
Transplanting
Mhm.
yourself your entire life at such a young age, um, you can do that at any time in your life. It's going to
Yeah.
be dramatic.
Hmm.
And the fact that you just literally, went from almost one side of the coast to another, from a small town, you
Hmm.
said, to this fucking jungle, that is absolutely bananas and crazy. I mean, it's
Hmm.
bananas and crazy. Like, it can be, you can find bananas and craziness anywhere,
Yeah.
but here it's it's just much more amplified, like you said. I love that word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't, because you're right, you can find craziness anywhere you go, but it's so different everywhere that you go, because I am dealing with a different crowd. I am dealing with things that I didn't have to deal with back home. Like, there is sort of a hospitality
Hmm.
in Indiana
Yeah.
that, or in the Midwest in general, that you definitely don't get out here. Like, people don't care about you out here. And
Mhm.
that's the hardest thing, um, especially coming from the Midwest, where you don't actually realize how nice people are to each other, even though there are, you know,
Shitty people.
conservative
Yeah.
people that have really loud
Yeah.
opinions about, everything. But there is also that sort of neighborly love that you get. Um, but yeah, so that's a huge thing, is learning how to deal with, you know, not being important
Right.
to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you are nothing.
Whew. Yeah.
It's very hard.
You had to become important to yourself,
Yeah.
and something that I'm really learning, and I can't begin to stress the importance of, is identity, and being so solid in your own identity. And you really got a school of hard knocks
Mhm.
when it came to that at like 17. If I had gotten that, I would just be like kind of like just flat on my face, to be
Yeah.
honest. um, can you tell us a little bit about what your identity looks like now? Like, who would you say you are? And I
Oh
realize
my
I'm going
goodness,
completely
that's a
off
lot.
book from what we talked
No, it's
about.
okay.
I have the guys, everyone knows I have a preliminary convo
Mhm.
with my interviewees, and like none of it,
Mhm.
none of this has been covered.
Yeah. No, that's totally
Take your
fine.
time.
And I would just say that I'm still figuring out who I am. Um, Sorry.
It's okay. No, you're
I
good.
am
You're good.
still figuring out who I am. Even though I have a little bit more ground now. Um, but I am figuring out, like, what it means to be a person, like an adult,
A human.
um, and and to be a musician, and but not to completely lose yourself in that identity, because I'm so much more than that, and I'm so much more than any label, that which is warning label. But I am
Hey!
way more than any label that anyone has put on me, or that I've put on myself before. um, and so I'm still evolving into who I can be, and I think that I'm always going to be evolving into a better version of myself,
As you should. As you should.
um, which I think is really just a good mindset to have, because I don't like to stay um, stagnant. I like to constantly try and better myself, um, and then the product of that, it shows up in my music as well, I think.
Okay. How do you No, no, I like it. I like it. I believe that we should always be seeking to grow, because if
Yeah.
you're not growing, honestly, you're shrinking. You
Yeah.
get to a point where you think you know everything, and what do they say, that once you get to the point where you think you know everything, you really know, shows how little you do know.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to your identity,
Hmm.
I believe I've heard you. We've
Hmm.
talked about that your sexuality has been in, part of that growing up when
Yeah.
it came to being in the small town.
Hmm.
And let's talk about your mental health through
Okay.
that entire process, and
Hmm.
how it changed. Like you said, like, it was harder to be, there as
Yeah.
as someone who's gay, but it's easier to be here, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, there's, as you said, there's different flavors. There's the jungle out here. There's less
Yeah.
hospitality. So let's talk about your mental health journey through also the sexuality journey, because that's a big
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah. Um so I mean, honestly, that is a huge part of what drives my music as well, because it's kind of my only outlet that I have, um to really be myself and be honest, um because I find that really hard to do, especially going back home. um but that's kind of just a part of who I am. Especially growing up was difficult, but it was very like I didn't have to deal with that because nobody wanted to know. Like nobody
Right.
cared. Like they did care, but no one cared to like I don't even know what it is. Like no one cared
Did they
to
not want to talk about it?
yeah, like
Yeah.
no one cared to um, you know, rip open the blinds and like, actually let that in.
What
And
does it mean to them for you to be gay?
yes.
Yeah.
And so it's something that, I'm constantly still trying to push for. And that's a lot of what still drives me.
Mm-hmm.
um, because I'm constantly fighting for freedom, um, from like my mind, because I can't control how other people react to me, but I can still control how I let that affect me. And so that's a huge thing that I have always tried to work on. Um, and I realize that there's a lot that's been messed up. Um, and so, yeah, I think that I'm just constantly trying to rewire myself, um, and, just and let go of everything that I have experienced. Um, and it's really just a freeing experience, um, to let all of that go. And I mean, I'm not letting it all go because I still hold on to things I don't realize I hold on to.
Yeah.
But the act of like trying to let it go is better than not
Oh,
trying
yeah.
at all.
I love that active, at least trying
Yeah.
to being aware of what you're holding on to and being like, it's really hard
Yeah.
to let that go, but you're trying and it's going to go at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like really bring my family into it, because I don't want them to feel like I am, dogging on them, like
No.
that
Yeah.
they're horrible, because they are very like supportive with me and my music, and they want to help me. Um, but I do come from a family that doesn't like to have confrontation and doesn't like to talk about things. Um, so the fact that I am pursuing a career that is so public and is so open, it's a very interesting thing to deal with that I didn't think about when I was younger and wanting to be a star.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
it
I'm who
comes
I
with a
am.
it
Yeah.
comes with a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a journey that I have to go on as well with my family, um which is hard sometimes, to which is a lot of what Roman Holiday is about. Like it's just, yeah, it hurts to know,
Yeah.
um that I still have to have, you know hard conversations, and get let myself get close to people that have, not intentionally hurt me, but have hurt me.
Right.
So I'm trying to let myself get close and let down the walls that I've put up around myself, which is very hard, because I am trying to practice gratitude and realize that my family is there for me, and the people in my hometown are rooting for me, um, even if they don't support everything that I believe in. You know, we're going to have differing views on things, but they are still like going to support me in the way that they
They
can.
they can,
That isn't
right?
going to
Yeah.
compromise their beliefs.
That is so interesting. Like that's like well, I had a thing. I had a thing in my head that was like oh I got something.
Mhm.
But you said it perfectly, and I don't think I need to walk on it with whatever the fuck I was gonna say. Um, but yes, it's almost as if we can be friends,
Mhm.
without agreeing. And
Yeah.
I think in the political climate, there can be a lot of, triggering things, when it comes to that. But I think if you are not treading on literally someone's right to live,
Mhm.
and someone's right to, your on someone else's, American rights, then then we can have a conversation. If you're not like literally, hating,
Yeah.
if you're willing to be open at least, then we can have a conversation,
And that's what's so hard is when they're your family. When it's
right.
so
Yeah, yeah,
close to you, that is what makes it hard. Is like because they are still your family, and it's hard to separate that from like. But in the end, we are all just people. Like, yes, we have these titles, and yes, we have like these kind of, I don't want to say made up conceptions of like,
no,
but it
no,
is
it is,
kind of like
it is,
it is kind of like society conceptions of like,
yeah,
this is your mother, like this is your father, and it's like,
right.
I do understand that, but in the end, they are just people. Like we are just all adults now, and we are gonna have different views of things. So it's like separating your family from, you know, we're all just adults. Like we're all just people with differing opinions.
Yeah, and it's all according to your opinion, is according to your own
Mm-hmm.
experience, which is limited, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what your mother's experience is. Like you can try to understand, but you're not in her body, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
in her consciousness. Like, that's
Yes.
it's different. It's
Yeah.
different for all of us. Would you say that beautiful point, by the way, just gotta
Thank
snap
you.
to that. Would you say that your family was with and your town,
Mm-hmm.
and the beliefs surrounding that town, um, about you, did that make you feel? Is that a moment in your life where you felt like your mind was made wrong?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which I felt that way before. Not just about like my identity, but I never really fit in anywhere in that town. It was very hard, especially in my formative years of elementary and middle school, um, to make friends and to just like I just never fit in anywhere. Like it's so hard to explain, but I just didn't fit in with people at school, with with my family. Um, I just always felt like there was something more. Um, and I just had to get through high school and I had to get out. But yeah, no, definitely I did feel that way a lot. Um, growing up, I felt that my mind was just so different, and the way that I perceived the world, um, it was more than just a small town, which was really hard for a lot of people to relate to because that's all that they knew was that small town, and that was their life in their bubble. So, yeah, definitely.
All right. It's different coming from, being where I live. I mean, the place I live, the town I live in isn't, super big, but it's
Mhm.
still LA adjacent.
Yeah.
And so to hear something from, for me, it's like, oh well, sometimes I get scared that my best days are, in high school, right, in college,
Mhm.
and then you're just like, I want to get the fuck out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's really funny because I did feel that way. Um, but now I think about it and I wish I could go back. Like it's
The
so
nostalgia.
yes, like I wish that I could relive my senior year of high school. There would be things that I would do differently, but yeah, I just miss being in high school sometimes. Like my friends, um, the schedule. Like I miss like football games and I miss all the good things about high school,
All
which
the
is
fun
like
things.
so it's so weird that I was like I really wanted to get out and I really wanted this freedom and now I am I'm in this spot where I'm like, man, it would be nice to go back. But then I remember other things about high school and I'm like, no, never mind. I'm okay.
It's like, yeah, no, don't want to talk to you. Don't want to talk to you. Oh, you
Yeah.
were weird. Yeah, not that class. Not this entire culture of bullshit that doesn't allow you to be who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
not the
yeah.
uniforms, which if you went to private school, you know.
I did. I actually went to a private school before I went to public school in high school. We didn't wear uniforms though,
Oh,
but
lucky.
that um, in itself really was where I felt like my mind was made wrong.
Really, let's talk about that.
Yes, because there was no real arts program there.
Mm-hmm.
It was I had 17 kids in my class. Like there were maybe 100 people in this school. Um, and so I was I didn't have any outlet. Like I was learning math, I was learning science, I was learning language, like English, but I wasn't learning music and I wasn't learning art. Like I wasn't it was the I think I was there for 3 years. I was 8th, ninth, and 10th. Um which really set me back when I went to the public school because these kids, like my friends that were at the public school, had been doing theater, since middle school and had been in choir and dance. And I didn't get to do that. I was doing stuff outside. Like I was in dance lessons and I was on a competitive team for 2 years, so, which was gymnastics and dance. So like I was getting that outside, but as music, nope.
Nope.
Like nope, I was not getting my fulfillment through that, like at all. So that was really where I felt um, very isolated, and it was definitely where and it was a private Christian academy, so
Oh my
that's
God,
another.
same, same.
So there's certain things that I don't necessarily agree with. Um, that they taught
Right.
or
Yeah.
things that they because I did spend some time in the principal's office. um, so yeah, it was
Circle of
very like
doors.
yeah,
Just
that
kidding.
was where I really felt like there was something wrong with me, and it's where um, that all kind of started where I started hating myself. Um,
Was it the intersection of faith, of religion, or something different?
yes, yeah, it definitely was, and I struggle with that
Still.
still. Um, it's different now because I am on my own and I've seen so much more of the world now,
Yeah.
like moving from here to or from there to here. Uh I ask more questions now. Like there's things that I ask that I question um that maybe I wouldn't have questioned before, which I think is something that everyone needs to do, to not just take what people say as truth.
As face value. Yo.
Yes,
Yeah.
because there's so much gray area, especially in religion. Like,
Oh yeah. There's like a
uh,
billion religions too.
well,
You know.
yeah,
And it's
especially in the Christian religion,
yeah.
there's so much gray area,
Mhm.
which I think a lot of people don't ask enough questions about it.
Yeah, well, that's the whole part of that's the way. I mean, I don't want to get into that and get opinionated, but
That's
that's
such
the
a I
reason
know.
why religion is very pervasive, and that's
Hmm.
why it has lasting power. Is if people don't question it, and religion stays and religion goes, and it
Hmm.
doesn't matter what you believe as long as you have gone through it and you say this is right for me.
Yeah.
And if someone places it on you, say at your high school or
Mhm.
even earlier than that, and it doesn't fit, it
Yeah.
can make the way that they present it to you makes you feel like, oh my god, I'm going to hell. Well, that's
Yeah.
the way I felt,
Mhm.
and that's the way I lost my religion,
Mhm.
is when someone told me that I was, and I was Christian at the time.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
My brand of Christianity. So that kind of like, okay, this is more challenging. This is
Yeah.
this is more complicated than I thought.
No, totally.
Yeah, so I had to reevaluate that.
But
Tell me what. Sorry.
no, I'm just saying not to, because I don't want to get like on that topic, because that is a huge,
It's
that is
it's
Pandora's
good.
box that we're just
We talk
opening.
about anything here.
But like, I think that's such a good thing, is, and what a lot of people need to go through is having everything that you thought you knew, like, just stripped, and like have a whole, you question everything. And I think that that's really what Christianity is about. And I think that that's like a huge message of Jesus. Like, because like you have to question everything, and or else you really don't know what you believe. You're just believing what people tell you to believe. And so by questioning, really, I think gets you closer to the answer, or like
Whatever it
it's
is, right?
whatever the
Yeah.
answer is. I think it doesn't necessarily get you to what um, people will tell you is the right answer, but it's like what you believe is truth because you believe it, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what makes religion such a hot topic, is
Well,
it's
everyone. Yeah.
different for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
based on your experiences. And so if you don't ever question it, I don't think you're getting a full experience of other perspectives, you know?
You're not getting your full experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not getting your full experience of you.
Yeah.
Everyone wants the truth that they found to be your truth that you
Yeah.
will find, and it's not the case. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. If such and such religion would work for me, because it's I you want to test it out, or you don't want to test it out.
Mhm.
It is all up to you. You found something that works for you, and that is absolutely and that's going to be your truth.
Mhm.
So did you I don't want to get into I have a bunch of like wheels turning in my mind now
Well,
because we completely went off book.
no, I know. No, there's like, because we can still relay that back to music,
Oh, obviously. Yeah, how
especially
do you
secular music,
yes. Oh my god, what are we going to get into
because
right now? No, do it.
because I write secular music,
Right?
even though I have a religious background,
Mhm.
and I think that that actually helps me write, because
Discuss.
in especially in my song Hercules, which is on Roman Holiday, um,
Ooh.
I allude to a lot of different religious things.
Imagery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagery. But it's not all Christian imagery. Like I talk about, it's called Hercules, which is a Greek god.
Yeah,
um,
mythology.
and I talk about, Mercury and Aphrodite, but then I also talk about like the walls of Jericho, which comes from the Bible. So it's like
Oh my god.
there's so there's so much that I take from my upbringing that I don't even realize that can be used in secular music. And so I think that,
It's baked in.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's so interesting that you can still be religious and write secular music. And I don't think a lot of people, especially in small towns, think that. I mean, I know that because I went to a small private school.
Small town, small little
where,
church.
yes, where
yeah.
one of my teachers, she didn't let her kids watch Harry Potter.
Oh my god,
My family was
same.
not like that. I watched Harry Potter, Hunger Games, like I loved all that stuff,
Oh
ate
my
it
god.
up. But no, I know that there are families that are like that, and so it's like that's also a fine line that I had to learn about.
Yeah.
Is because I was like, I don't want to write Christian music because honestly, I think it's kind of cheesy. But
it's like I'm writing a love song to God.
yeah, like I do. I think I think a lot of like Christian songs are a little cheesy. Um, but you know, if that's your cup of tea, whatever. Like that's totally fine. But I didn't. That was not the way for me.
That was not your muse. That was not your creative path. Yeah.
And so I think that you can still allude to that in music, and I think it helps it because it's also something that brings us all together. Um, because everybody, no matter who you are, like struggles with that. I think at some point in their life. So that's
Perfect.
all.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm getting off topic.
I
But
know, no, it's perfect because I am the same.
yeah.
Religion and mental health are so intertwined,
Mhm.
and there is such a, Jesus is gonna God solves all problems. It's just like
Mhm.
this little stamp on like, oh, you got a problem, God, 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 whatever
Yeah.
whatever it is, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
Especially when some of the texts, right?
Mhm.
And whatever testament or however you're going to misconstrue what has been written
Mhm.
or said, whatever the pastor says about, you, right? Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of things, in the Bible about, and not just the Bible, but like other, religious texts about,
Mhm.
um, you know, being gay, or
Mhm.
being trans as well. Like, there's a lot of things, but then there's also a lot of things about not eating shellfish, So like,
Yeah.
what do you use to persecute someone?
Yeah, that's a hard that is a hard that's a lot of the gray area because
Yeah.
there's so many like it's so different from how we live today. Like everything would be an abomination.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like everything would be a sin, like how we live today, because it's like, I mean, people still work on Sundays, and that would be like,
Yeah, I do.
God would strike you down. Like, but I think that's the whole point of the Old Testament versus the New Testament, which I'm only alluding to that because I don't know enough about other
Right.
religions. Like I
Yeah.
don't know enough about Islam or Hinduism. Like I don't
Yeah.
know enough about it to be like, oh, this is like the different
This is
things. Like,
everything.
but like I'm learning,
Mhm.
and that's helped being out here because there's so many different people out here that I didn't even know. Like I knew they existed. That's not bad, but like I didn't even know. Like I didn't get their side of the story,
You didn't
which
have
is
like a solid reference point for like, oh, there's a person who believes XYZ as a good
yes.
reason.
Like
Yeah.
I at work, I met I got my first God, hold on. Let me rewind so I'm not being offensive. But I I met my first like Muslim friend,
Hmm.
and I didn't even realize up until that point that I had never like
You've
actually
never
had
had.
met someone who was Muslim. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I had never like had a connection with someone. And so it was very interesting to me in my own mind being like, oh my God, like I have this little perspective that I didn't even realize. Like there's so many other people out there that like you can just learn so much from everybody, and I love it. That's all.
Absolutely.
But
No,
yeah,
that's good.
I
That's
just
good. This is really, really good. Let me know when you need to leave because I'm having fun.
no, it's fine.
um, it's it's so funny because when you were saying that like that's the first it's still true that that there's Islam as a religion is not very common in the Midwest,
Hmm.
um, but there's also, I'm sure there's people who want to know about that
Yeah.
there, but the culture is
Hmm.
so very homogenous,
Hmm.
right? And I'm sure there's just as many LGBTQ plus folk
Hmm.
out there that are out here, but you can't see them. There's no visibility because you can't, because
Yeah.
it's so suppressed. It's supposed to be
Hmm.
sameness.
Definitely where I grew up. Um, there are places though, like because there's Indianapolis, which is a big city,
Right.
which is different. It's
Hmm.
more liberal. Um, and so there are places for different religions, people of different sexual orientations, like to feel more safe. Um, but definitely it's not like it is out here, where it's like you that's what really confuses me about people that are like really conservative out here. Like, why are you in California?
Right.
Like, that's my thing, is like, if you're gonna be mad about Hispanics, like, why are you living in Southern California? Like, if you are racist, why are you living in such a like
diverse,
like diverse
racially diverse
environment?
place.
So it's just like being human is so interesting. And just being like, I think, what did I say when I went home? Because I do talk to my family about this because they like to know.
Like,
Yeah, and they are very supportive about me meeting different types of people and learning about what they believe. And um, so they love hearing about it and hearing about my experiences, because they also understand that you don't get that back home. And they like that I'm learning. Um, and so I was just like, we were talking about some topic, but I was just like, man, it's hard being a skeleton in a skin suit. Like,
I love it. No, that's a lyric. That is a lyric.
like it's just so interesting. It's so interesting. And yeah, so I think it's just, yeah, crazy. Crazy stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We
I'm
got
gonna.
so
Yeah.
off topic.
I know
You
it's
can
okay.
totally scrap
It's
all
no.
of that.
It's, I may not. I may not. I like to do. I'm starting to do these in parts, so like I
Mm,
split it up. So I want to do a hard pivot and
okay,
talk about more about music and
definitely.
the mental health problems you see in the music industry.
Mhm.
What do you think is the biggest big deal, the biggest crisis when it comes to the mental health of musicians, and how would you propose to solve it?
So, I was actually thinking a lot about this because there's so many different things. But I think like it is and it isn't a mental health thing, because a lot of people, I mean, the music industry, the biggest thing that I am realizing now, so many people get taken advantage of and
Mhm.
get stuck in situations that look really good on paper, but when they are actually in it, it's hell.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I think that it's kind so the where how it is a mental health issue is we are conditioned to believe that Hollywood is this glamorous place and the music industry is, this nirvana
Mhm.
in some
The big
sense.
ticket.
Yes. And I'm saying this from experience.
Mhm.
And so in my mind, I believed that like, it's just something that I have to do is be a slave to the music industry. And I like if I have to make sacrifices if I want to get to where I want to be, and I have to um do anything.
Mhm.
But that's definitely not true.
Yeah, you don't.
And
Yeah.
I learned that being out here, that people get taken advantage of, and it really takes a toll on musicians' mental health, because then people turn to pills, they turn to alcohol, and the industry uses them, um, makes them into this big pop star so that they can make money. And when they go home, they hate themselves and they
Right.
hate how they look, they hate what they're doing. Um, and so I think that is what brings on so many different problems for musicians. I think feeling like a robot and feeling like they don't know who they are is what causes a lot of problems, and really doesn't help their anxiety or depression. It worsens it. And then so I think that like I don't know how to fix that, because it's such a big
Mhm.
thing about
Mhm.
LA. Um but yeah, I would say that that is like a huge thing is musicians want to fill this void that they have of they want to be an artist and they want to make money and they want to do what they love, that they're willing to do anything for it, even be taken advantage of. And I think that the industry plays a lot off of that.
Oh my, it's this beautiful story with such a
Mm-hmm.
nasty twist.
Yeah.
Um, absolutely. It's the myth that we can't be artists
Mm-hmm.
without being famous, or it's the myth that we can't be successful without being, some, or um just like, I don't know, treated as a guru or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's you don't have to be so high and lofty
Mm-hmm.
to love yourself. I think, you don't have to
Yeah.
be, you know, and that's the lie. I think that is so bad. You're so correct. Is
Mm-hmm.
that um you are not the big lie. Bottom line is you are not okay as you are.
Yeah.
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 You are not okay as you are. And as musicians, with being fed all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
on the television, I'm going to say on the television and the records,
Uh-huh.
and the phonograph and the radio. um, um, you're fed these images
Mm-hmm.
and promises, and it's everywhere, even coming from the people who are, who say, that this is not all that it is. It's still there. We still see it. And also as independent, musicians,
Mm-hmm.
it's you are not, I want to say that yes, you are okay as you are, right?
Yeah.
You're more than,
Yeah.
you can still be artistic. You can be the most artistic artist, creative, just ball of muse.
Yeah. And I think people are actually like, I think people are starting to wake up
Right.
now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because there's a huge rise in the indie, like being an independent artist is almost easier now. Because there's so many different outlets. Like, I mean, I can get my stuff on Spotify and Apple Music without being
In like a
signed.
second, yeah.
Like, it's just so there's such a I think people are waking up realizing that like you deserve to be happy and you don't have to sacrifice your mental health to be like where you want to be in your career. And yeah, I look at like so many rising artists now that are doing that. Like one that comes to mind would be I know she's signed, but Billie Eilish. Um she made her album out of her room with her brother. Like there's just so many different ways to do it now that like doesn't put you in a situation that compromises who you are. It's gnarly being
Yeah.
a famous celebrity. So can't wait.
Yeah. You heard it here. That's what I do. I just give y'all a platform.
But yeah, I think people are definitely waking up from being in this sort of trance of wanting to be a famous pop star and sacrificing themselves to do it.
Or rock or metal. There's dysfunction.
I know. I do
yeah.
pop, so that's why
Yeah.
I keep saying pop star.
It's
but
okay, but yeah, but there's dysfunction everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I do not want to take up more of your time. I just have two more questions
Okay.
though, because one of them is directly tied. At least in my perspective, what I'm discovering now is that self-care
Mhm.
is so neglected, and as a individual who suffers from bipolar disorder, self-care is not the easiest thing to do. And if you have depression, if you've ever had, some kind of thing, where you haven't, in an extreme cases for myself, there's some weeks that I have not gone, with a shower. And it all comes from I don't deserve one. And I don't deserve to be clean. And,
Mhm.
that's not always my mental state, but sometimes it really is.
Mhm.
And I have to really, dig deep and say, I have been, I have done bad things. I have
Mhm.
been above this, but and I am above this. So all that to say, your self-care really does stem from your self-esteem and what you believe you are worth to do. And I'm not meaning in such a surface sense as the because you're worth it, you know,
Yeah.
L'Oreal type of thing. I didn't. It's don't copy strike me. You know, that's I don't know if that's like an immediate. You know,
Yeah.
but tell us about how you practice self-care. You know, how you keep yourself. You know, it can be a ritual that you do, or doesn't have to be just bath bombs and shit. But how you keep yourself from falling into that pit
Right.
of feeling unworthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So I rest, sleep.
Yes.
Because that's something that I deal with a lot is I constantly want to be doing something because something towards my music. Like I constantly want to like be on this like train of okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, like planning everything out. Um and sometimes I just need to take a step back and rest and know that like it's okay to rest, like you're not being lazy. Which is something that I really struggle with. Um
Oh well, it's pumped through. It's like
oh yeah.
no, this hustle culture that
Mm-hmm.
I have railed against many times on this podcast. It is such a lie because it's like you cannot be successful if you are not sleeping.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. I mean, it might work for like a year, but
Yeah.
you're gonna die.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just taking a day where I don't have to be it doesn't necessarily have to be like laying in bed like
Yeah.
resting, but like where I'm not in work mode, where I'm not
Resting your mind.
constantly um which is where I actually find myself to be the most creative, is when I am not trying to be and I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
letting it happen.
you're in flow.
Yeah, because I do work a lot to sustain this music. Um, and so taking a break is something that I really need. And I realized that. Um, and so, like, what I did was I don't work on Fridays now. It's at the end of the week. I don't work. I let my mind rest. I let my body rest. And I recharge to let myself be creative again and
Is
to debrief everything that happened.
Shake it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I it's kind of like you're telling yourself, I am not a robot, right? I think of
Yes, by
Marina.
Marina and the Diamonds.
Oh my God. We've never met in person.
Yeah.
It's always weird because it's so fun. I like every interview I have, it's like always like, have you met them in person? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you know, I have not. So it's always like, oh, I've got great guests, fantastic
Mhm.
guests. But you're telling yourself you're not a robot. You're not like the way
Mhm.
that you were discussing about, artists making themselves slaves. This
Yeah.
is your way of saying to yourself, because it is about what you're telling yourself,
Mhm.
more about what you're telling other people. You're telling yourself that you are going to not slave yourself
Yeah.
to death. You know,
Mhm.
oh my God, rest, guys. Have
Yeah.
some rest. Take some melatonin.
Which sounds so like cliche, is like rest, but it's like it's a big thing for
It's
me.
deeper than that.
Like
Yeah.
I know that it's may not be what everybody needs, but for me personally, it is because I have really bad anxiety. Like that is my the thorn in my side is anxiety, which causes me to get depressed because I just work myself up to where I'm like I suck. Like I don't I don't deserve to like do anything. Like I just want to cry. Like and it's not even about like stage fright or like that type of anxiety. It's just like about little things. And so resting really helps me to slow down my mind and realize that like it gives me time to breathe pretty much.
Yeah.
It gives me time to breathe and realize that time is not moving as fast as I think it is. And I will get to where I want to be. I am good enough and I just need to rest. And that's what I do. And, it may be cleaning
Mhm.
like my room or cleaning my house. Like it doesn't have to be laying in bed. It's
Right.
just like something that just keeping house pretty much like
It's
and
taking time
keeping
for
house in
you.
my
Yeah,
mind.
you're keeping. Oh my god. Oh my god. Just snap, click,
Yeah.
done. Keeping house of my mind. Keeping. Okay. I don't need to keep talking. I keep talking a lot, and I'm just because I like what you say.
Mhm.
I like what everyone says, and it's like I just blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Anyway, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Keep house of your mind, folks.
Yeah.
Keep it. Keep it.
Long story
Yeah.
short, rest
Rest.
and
Keep
clean
it
your mind.
clean. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
Keep it clean. Oh my god, I've got so much shit running around in there. It's like you have to. I mean, I'm keeping going on this because it's a reminder to myself that
Mhm.
it's like if you don't watch what's going on in here, it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out in your life. So
I hate bath bombs, by the way.
you do. I mean,
I do. I want to like them, but then I do one. I do a bath bomb, and I hate it. Maybe if I had a bigger tub, like I would like
right?
it, but like
Those big ones that you see on like
it
the
just
Lush Instagram.
yeah, it just never looks like the way I want it to. Like I don't feel as serene as I wish I did. Like as they show online of
Yeah.
like someone dropping a bath bomb in, like
Just-
yeah, it's not as great
It's
as
not
I
as
would like it to be.
beautiful.
So that is not my self care.
Maybe they have better water.
maybe when I have more money and a bigger tub, I will enjoy it.
Exactly, yeah.
But as of right now,
I
no,
love the
hate bath bombs.
smells, but I don't
I
like
do.
the
They
effect.
irritate my skin. I can't like
Oh.
I can't
Yeah.
use Lush products. This is completely off topic, but like I can't use Lush products because
Aw.
I have sensitive skin, so like I'll like break out if I use like scented like lotions or soap. Like it's just yeah, it'll make me like break out.
Oh, so you
So
have
I
to
have
use
to
like all fragrance free and
yeah, like I can use this is really personal, but I'm just saying not that I am
I'll
mad
take
about it, but like
take it out.
no, like I can use like I use like Acne body wash.
Okay. Well,
Stuff
that's
that's for
formulated.
I can't use
Yeah.
anything that's like scented to like where it's like um to like where it like gets deep in your pores. Like where it's
Yeah.
like that type of thing.
Mhm.
But stuff that like dries me out is
Mhm.
like way better
Mhm.
for me. But yeah, Lush products I can't. They will
So sad.
they will give me hives. Which I didn't realize until I moved out.
Lush is a big thing here.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very big thing here.
Which it wasn't even I realized that I cannot have certain things because it will like my skin will react a certain way or like my body will react a certain way, which I've had tons of weight issues since moving out.
Oh, really? Is it
Yes.
like the food or is it like the
Well, yes, it's not living at home,
Mhm.
having to buy for myself, and
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to have certain things at home, like Pop Tarts,
Yes. Oh,
ho-hos,
yeah.
like things like that. Could not have those.
Same, yeah.
So that was another me trying to get control of my own life, and so it caused me. I gained a lot of weight, and I hated myself. Like I hated taking pictures of myself, and I hated like just the way that I looked in general. And so I decided that, which is so weird because it doesn't matter what you look like. Like it doesn't, but in this industry, it does. Kind
Oh
of.
yeah, for sure. Even though they like to say, "No, we're becoming more progressive."
It does, and
Still
it's like
does.
if I'm gonna have to be filmed and be like photographed, I myself want to be comfortable in my own skin, and I
Yeah.
wasn't. I just wasn't. Like it wasn't about how other people saw me. It was about like how I saw myself, and
It shows.
yeah. And I felt the way that I looked,
Right.
which was I didn't feel good about myself at all. And so now that I've like been out here longer, realized like how my body reacts to certain things and like what I can and can't eat. It's really like helped me feel better in my own skin, which helped me be really a better artist because I was able to like not hate myself. I was able to like like what I was doing and like the way that I looked. looking back like at myself, you know. So that was a big thing that I learned after moving out, was just learning about myself physically,
physically
learning about
and
myself.
mentally. It
Hmm.
was a huge learning experience for you. I
Yeah.
want to know how. Last question. I want to know how.
Sorry,
It's
I
okay.
like got off
No,
topic.
no,
I'm
no.
so
That was
sorry.
really good. No, that was good. That was very important. That was very important to
Yeah.
discuss. I want to know how you've learned from 2019
Hmm.
because it is 2 days till, actually, basically 1 day till.
Hmm.
We are recording this on December 30th, 2019. Timestamp. So we have 2020 ahead of us. I
Hmm.
want to know what you've learned from 2019 and what you're going to do to create beautiful things in 2020. What did you
Hmm.
create in 2019?
So in 2019, it was a lot of learning experiences for me. Um, I learned on the musician side, I learned how to be a better musician and how to be a better frontman. Um, and I learned how to how to look like I know what I'm doing, like I know my shit. Like I definitely learned that, the technical side of things. Um, as far as like what I learned is patience with myself, with my music, with others. Um, I learned that like I don't need everything like right away. Like, which I struggled with. I still kind of struggle with it sometimes, where it's like I want that instant gratification, but I can't get it. And I really learned that this year.
Microwave culture.
Was just having patience with myself. Um, and that there is enough time, and I am only 20 something years old. Like
Yes, that's
I
yeah.
so I learned patience. And then as far as 2020, um I am going to try and be more grateful and appreciative of the people that I have in my life. Um, because I realized, it was brought to my attention actually, um, that I have more support than I realize I do. And I sometimes get into a rut of I'm all alone, and there someone like always wants something from me, or else they wouldn't be supporting me, or they wouldn't be involved with me. And so just I'm gonna try and break that cycle, and just be more aware of the people that I have, and that they do want me to succeed in my endeavors, and to just take a step back and be grateful for all of that. So that's like really what I want to work on.
Mhm.
Um, and then music wise, I got a lot of projects that I want
Oh
to do. I got
yes.
a lot of projects that I want to do. I hope they pan out.
Mhm.
2019 was big for like preparing me,
Okay,
and
cool.
I feel like 2020 is the year of execution.
Execution. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Same.
is a year of
Get out.
execution. So like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to all of the things I'm going to learn in 2020 about myself and about my music and who I am
Mhm.
further.
Bring it the
I
fuck
know.
on.
So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward
Pretty, pretty, pretty wonderful, pretty lovely,
to.
pretty, pretty, pretty. I just have the word pretty in my mouth.
Mhm.
Um, Beautiful. I am so glad that you were able to come
Thank you.
and
Me too.
grace us at this abode with these shining lights
Yeah, totally.
and all black, all black. He's wearing all black. You can't see. Yep, got it. He's got it on.
I'm
It's
really
got it
glad
on.
I didn't have anything on the bottom of my shoe right there.
It was black.
I know. I'm really glad that there wasn't
It was
anything.
black. It was perfect. I know, right? You just got like this gum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for being so open and honest with all my lovely creators here on Mind Made Wrong. Please tell us where we can find you again because we forgot.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, George_Brandt, on Facebook, George Brandt, and I am also on Spotify and Apple Music, Pandora,
Follow, follow, follow,
anywhere.
follow, 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 follow.
Like
Do it.
yeah, so stream if you would like to. I would really
They
appreciate it.
will stream.
Stream
They
so I
will
can buy
stream.
chicken McNuggets at
Yeah,
McDonald's.
exactly. With the pennies from my screen.
But
My
yeah,
screams, my
just
screams.
if you're interested in learning about like what we are we're talking about pretty much on here, like no, the songs that we were talking about, to get a better understanding, I'm on Spotify and Apple Music.
You will follow George Brandt on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, wherever you listen.
Yep.
Wherever you listen to music, you will stream, you will save Roman
Wow, we're
Holiday,
really
the
getting
entirety. No, this is
in it.
you have to tell people what you want to do,
You're
what
right.
you're gonna do. This is what you're gonna do. Please, very kindly, and please, if you have not already, follow, subscribe to Mind Made Wrong on Spotify, Deezer, Google Play, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you are watching us here on YouTube, which of course you are, subscribe to Moi Steal Maggie, because you'll see all these lovely interviews and all the lovely shenanigans I've got planned for 2020, which if you're watching this, we're already in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So as well, because this is second to last day of 2019,
so exciting.
of the last decade. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
So crazy. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness. All right. Anyway, we're just talking on and on and on and on. You need to go to work. All right. Okay. I'll see you later, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful creators. Next week, we have a wonderful podcast for you. But until then, let's go create beautiful things. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mm.